Good evening, YouTube. I wanted to make a short video on factory original finishes available on Adams Bagnall carbon arc lamps to better educate the community and show you what you could originally purchase in the 1900s for your Adams Bagnall carbon arc lamp to look like. So thus far, I have identified three different finishes. Here's a zoom in of the catalog here, and we can see that Oxidized, Japan, and Natural are the three different choices available for your Adams Bagnall lamps. So with that being said, let's look at some pictures here because some of these names are a little bit confusing. All right, so after looking at the catalog and knowing what the three finishes are, the Japan finish is this black coating here, and this was available on copper and steel lamps. Japanning, for those of you that don't know, is a compound that is brushed onto a surface and is an asphaltic bituminous compound. And basically what that means is it's made of the same stuff you'd make asphalt out of, and it's a very, very durable, beautiful, and resilient compound that is applied to a metallic surface, and then it uses heat to melt it onto and bond it to the hard surface of the object in which you desire to have coated. This particular arc lamp here has a steel casing, and must have sat in somebody's attic for the past 100 years or so because it has no rust and it's in pretty much factory original condition. The second coating is what they call, and I could be wrong about this, there's just not much information and not many people have done much research, so I'm open to being wrong about stuff, but I'm pretty sure this is what they're calling oxidized. So this is available on the copper finish lamps. Seems to be the most common of all the finishes, where they apply a chemical compound to the copper, and in the areas where they want the logo and other parts, they wipe it off before allowing the chemical compound to react with the copper. And then naturally, here at the end is the natural copper finish, which this is another chemically applied treatment to react with the copper so that it doesn't turn green over the usage of the lamp fixtures. So if you see any of these Adams Bagnall lamps that are polished copper, that's not what they originally came with at all, and the finish on the arc lamp has been damaged, and that detracts from the value, is not what they originally looked like, and is just somebody's ignorant opinion as to what this 120-year-old appliance should look like. So I hate it when I find those lamps, or when I'll see a arc lamp on eBay that I recognize that some hoity-toity antique dealer bought, and then they buff the original finish out of it. It's just for, I'm trying to control my emotions, but it's just an extreme display of dumbassery and ignorance and disrespect towards something that is very historical and beautiful as is. So let's take a look at some more examples and pictures of different Adams Bagnall enclosed arc lamps and what the finishes were on those. This particular picture is from an auction that had 6 of these Adams Bagnall enclosed arc lamps at an auction, and shows the oxidized copper finish here. And they're very pretty. I would absolutely love to know the story on these fixtures. They sold not all 6 of them, but they sold them at an auction for units of 3, and this was really before arc lamps kind of got popular, and I think it sold for just several $100s for the lots of 3, but nonetheless, it's just a really beautiful finish on these fixtures, and I'd love to know the story behind these and what happened to them. This is a picture of I'm thinking copper Adams Bagnall lamp. If you look at the top portion, it's not all like wrinkled up because copper's more ductile and flexible in the hydraulic pressing machine. And this one has the black Japan finish. Without physically seeing it, it also could have been bead blasted or something to that effect and painted with black spray paint, which is a very respectable restoration technique. It doesn't quite have the gloss that the original Japanning would have, but nonetheless, it's being respectful towards what one of these lamps would originally look like from the factory. And this is an example of a horrific abomination where the original beautiful coating has been removed and the person has put forth no effort in trying to research what one of these would originally look like. And it's just a prime example of dumbassery and disrespect towards something that is far older than whoever's molesting it. In my opinion, this is equivalent to having a Ford Model T that's painted green with yellow polka dots. It's just absolutely horrific and a very grotesque display of ignorance and disrespect towards something that is very historical and a very important part of human history and evolution. These have been damaged. They're ugly, they're nasty, and this is never, ever, ever what one of these things look like from the factory. Shame on whoever does this to an arc lamp. It is wrong. Now that ugly thing is off the screen, here is an example of another oxidized streaked Adams Bagnall lamp. You can see there it's really pretty with that factory original finish. And we have another example of a natural copper finish that is really pretty. The natural finish didn't really seem to be too terribly common. I haven't seen too many examples of those, but nonetheless, it is very beautiful and is a very stable chemical treatment of the copper so that unless it's outside or in a really corrosive environment, it seems to have held up very nicely over the past century. Here is another Adams Bagnall arc lamp with a steel casing that is not in the best shape, but it's not terrible. And you can see that the Japanning is starting to come off. Fixtures like this always are very challenging for me from a restoration aspect because you want to respect the fact that the device is over a century old, but at the same time, you want to beautify it. I would really have hated to have gotten a hold of this lamp because I probably would have media blasted it and reapplied the Japanning to it. But, you know, it's 100 years old. It's going to show signs of use, and it's, in my opinion, it's almost being disrespectful to the appliance. It's no different to me than having an 80-year-old woman and giving her a ton of plastic surgery. It just doesn't look right. I would have really have liked to have gotten a hold of this fixture and done a good restoration job on it. I find these arc lamps that have signs of wear and tear and sitting around in someone's barn for the past century to be particularly interesting and beautiful. And lastly, we have a rather early model of an Adams Bagnall enclosed carbon arc lamp with the oxidized finish that I found on an auction website. This particular arc lamp I would have really have also liked to have gotten a hold of and done a good, good complete restoration job on. It appears to be in very good condition, and it did have all the factory original components and was a very, very early version of an alternating current lamp. What's interesting about it is it has the holes punched in the bottom portion of the casing, and it also has the very coveted and hard to find scalloped globe holder ring with the oxidized coating applied to it. Just a side note, and I haven't brought this up yet, but there were globe holder rings in black, which matched the housing, oxidized copper, which also matched the housing, and then the natural copper finish, which matched the housing. So the globe holder rings did correspond with the finish on the lamps. So while we're on the subject of the globe holder rings matching the finish on the lamps, here is another picture of a Adams Bagnall lamp that I believe has the natural copper finish, and you can see that the globe holder ring matches the housing of the lamp. So that's another example of the natural copper finish. So with the knowledge in hand of what these arc lamps originally looked like, I have a question I'd like to ask. Many years ago, I bought this arc lamp from another collector, and as you can see, it is very green with the patina from being such an old thing, and it works just fine, but the green patina is not original to the fixture, and it makes me wonder if another collector had gotten hold of this, what they would have done. And I just, I'm curious as far as, other collectors out there, what's their opinion as to what I should do with this particular arc lamp that has this, in my opinion, what is a very beautiful green copper finish. So I hope you find all this information useful. And as far as, other collectors and restoration works, there are many wonderful Facebook groups for arc lamps. And the Japan coating, there are a ton of YouTube videos for how to make the Japan coating. And all you need is an oven to heat it up and apply it to the coating. The other two, natural and oxidized finish, do involve some pretty nasty chemicals, but with enough dedication, I'm sure anybody could figure it out. I kind of have gotten to the point where if I encounter an arc lamp that involves too much work as far as restoration, I just stay away from it because it is so difficult. But it's a hobby that I really love and enjoy sharing information with. So I hope you find this information useful. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.